Hi, welcome to the channel. This is my recap for the anime The Seven Deadly Sins, 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. If you like my recaps, please consider to subscribe. The story begins as a boy named Percival, but we call him Percy. He gets his giant hulk of a grandfather to help him knock down a rare bird. Percy almost eats himself off of a mountain, but this kid is our main character, so he survives. This kid's grandfather can barely fit on his seat, and they still manage to enjoy the bird for lunch. However, we see that the bird has a strange mark on it. The two then have a little sparring match, and Percy shows off some sweet moves. He is determined to beat the giant mountain of muscles, but he doesn't stand a chance. Percy is frustrated, but his grandfather says that he almost got him, and his attitude completely changes. Old Grandpa washes dishes in the lake and thinks about how much Percy has grown. He rushes home to remind Percy about his birthday tomorrow, but Percy is busy watering the plants. Percy will be turning 16, and he is just excited that he will be able to drink beer, but Old Grandpa says it's still too soon. Grandpa takes Percy to the top of a mountain to show him the world, and he is sure that Percy is ready to journey around the world. He is shocked, though, when Percy shows no interest in journeying, and he says it's because he has fun every day just being home. Grandpa tries to encourage him by pointing towards an island of sky people. The giant grandpa hopes that it will inspire Percy, but it doesn't. He explains that the world below where they live is filled with thrilling adventure and mystery. There are twisting towers where eccentric magicians dwell, large caves with openings that lead to the netherworld, and labyrinth forests that no one can ever escape if lost. Grandpa hopes that Percy is even just a little excited, but is shocked when Percy just cares about catching some skyfish with his grandpa. That night, Old Grandpa explains that Percy's father couldn't wait to leave the house at 16 years old, but Percy is quick to point out that his father is not alive anymore. He wonders if Percy is lonely being there, but he is not, because he lives with his favorite person, his grandpa. Percy then repeats this saying that his grandpa always says when he is drunk, that says defeat the evil and help the weak. Percy promises to protect his grandfather, but Old Grandpa says that he isn't so senile that he needs to be protected. While Grandpa sleeps, Percy heads outside where he thinks about all the adventures his grandpa talked about. We see that Percy is so excited by adventure that he can barely stay still. However, he tempers himself by saying that he is fine there because he has his grandpa. He wakes up after falling asleep outside and is shocked to see someone mysterious approaching. The man came because his bird signal ended there. He tells Percy that he's looking for a man named Vargas, and that just so happens to be his grandfather. This man is an old friend from when there were holy nights, so Percy points him in the direction of their house. This man lets Percy check out his ship, but thinks about how cruel Vargas was for raising a child while hiding the truth. Percy is disappointed that he can't get the boat to move, but begins to think that the guy was pretty creepy. He has a bad feeling, so he begins to head home. The man gets Grandpa's attention, but Vargas must instantly defend himself from the guy's insane attack that sends him flying through the house. The man points out that it's been 16 years since Vargas betrayed their master and fled. Vargas quickly engages this man in combat and accuses him of being the betrayer. This guy is insanely powerful, though, and lands a devastating attack. Percy arrives at the worst possible moment and demands to know what the man just did to his grandpa. This guy is seriously evil, as he tells Percy to just stand by and wait his turn. Percy doesn't listen to a single word and instantly tries to attack him. It's no use, as the guy can unleash an immense attack with just the slightest movement of his finger, and he tells Percy that he has no discipline. Grandpa uses this moment to grab onto the man, and he tells Percy to run away. Percy refuses to leave him there, but the man tells him not to worry, since neither of them will be escaping. With the slightest movement, this man puts several devastating holes in Vargas and uses his cross attack on Percy next. Percy tries his best to fight back, but it's hopeless. This guy's name is Ironside, and Vargas wonders why he came after him only now. Ironside explains that a few days ago, an ominous prophecy was made, the arrival of an existence that will lead their lord, King Arthur, to his doom. They are named the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. Their identities are unknown, but they cannot say for sure that Vargas is not one of those 4 knights. The man leaves, and Vargas apologizes to Percy. Percy is in tears and apologizes back for not being able to protect him. Vargas wants Percy to find someone that is worth protecting. He wants him to trust his heart and find someone important whom he can walk through life with. Percy thinks he is being punished for lying, since the truth is that he really did want to go on an adventure. Grandpa says that he lied too, since he was glad when Percy said he wasn't lonely because they had each other. Vargas collapses, but he is amazed to see that Percy seems to be fine after taking so much damage. Vargas then shockingly reveals that the man that just attacked them is Percy's father. Percy was always told that his father passed away when he was young. He thinks that Grandpa is lying now, since he can't believe that his father would do something so horrible to them. Grandpa doesn't have time to explain and tells Percy that he will have to find his father again if he wants answers. He tells Percy to begin his journey, but Percy doesn't want his grandpa to pass away. Grandpa tells him that they will be together forever from now on, and he wishes luck to his precious grandson. Vargas passes away, and Percy screams in agony. Percy buries his grandfather and begins learning to live on his own. Sadly, Percy would eventually find a gift his grandfather left him that would help him on his journey, and he holds the clothes close to him. Percy gets suited up and says goodbye to his grandpa. Percy's journey starts off a bit slow, but he is soon on the move. Sometime later, Percy has spent an entire day climbing down the mountain where they lived, but still can't even see below the clouds. He would climb for several more hours and celebrate when he has almost reached Britannia, but instantly falls. Luckily, he is saved by a rockbird, so he promises to never eat one again. The thing just kicks him off though, so Percy promises to eat it again one day. Percy makes a crash landing and sees an animal he has never seen before. Percy explains to the little creature that he climbed down from the mountain called God's Finger, and it took him 2 days. Percy's grandpa told him about things called villages and towns with lots of people, so he asked the little creature if he could take him there. The thing doesn't seem to understand, but Percy follows it anyway since he is lonely. Just then, Percy spots a group practicing some kind of performance. The later named cat starts off the show, followed by Miss Elena and her little monkey. Their featured act is a guy named Donnie, but he isn't interested in performing without a crowd. Just then, they are shocked as Percy is clapping vigorously. He is amazed by their performance and begs them to do it again. Donnie tries to bully Percy into paying for the act, but Percy has never even heard of the concept of paying for things. Donnie gets him to give all his stuff as payment instead and begins his performance by making Percy float. Of course, Percy is amazed, but Donnie's actually kind of a jerk as he forces his two friends to run off with him. Donnie says he is just teaching the kid how the world works, but Elena doesn't want to leave the poor kid since he seems to be all alone. Donnie thinks they have gotten too far to turn back now, but everyone is shocked when Percy instantly catches up to them. Percy isn't upset at all, and he simply wonders if they know where he can find Ironside. They wonder if Ironside is a friend of his, but Percy is quick to point out that Ironside is his father that ended his grandfather's life. Percy isn't even sure if what he seeks is revenge, but he has a lot of questions for Ironside. Percy gets excited to hear about a village, and they even offer to take him there. Donnie doesn't want to just take him for free, so they decide to see if Percy can give a performance. Percy tries out using a bow and arrow, but somehow manages to hit Donnie when he was behind him. Katz decides to take him for free since they travel from village to village, putting on shows anyway. Percy was amazed by their magic, but Donnie explains that they were pretty much just tricks, and he hates having to rely on subpar powers to make money. Katz explains that their team is made up of dropouts whose dream of joining the Holy Knights were crushed. Percy remembers that Ironside mentioned that he and Varghese were Holy Knights before, and the others are amazed. They wonder what country Percy is from, but he doesn't even have a clue what a country is. Just then, some strangers frantically tell them to get help as their village is being attacked by a wolf. Donnie thinks that they can drive the wolf away themselves, but instantly changes his mind when they arrive to find the terrifying giant wolf. Donnie says that there is nothing they can do for the village, but everyone is shocked when Percy springs into action. Percy remembers his grandpa's words, to always defeat the evil and help the weak, so that's exactly what he does. He tells the wolf to prepare to become his dinner, but all of Percy's arrows completely miss the mark and come right back to him instead. The wolf is about to take him out, but Donnie surprisingly comes back to save him. Donnie is in great pain, but he blames Percy for getting him all fired up to be a hero. He warns Percy to run away as the wolf is going in to finish him, but everyone is stunned when Percy stops it. Percy instantly knocks the giant monster out with one attack, leaving everyone in awe. We see that the wolf had a mark like the bird did from earlier, and the little pink fox-looking thing saw everything. We also see that some knight was amazed by the display and decides that he will be next to act. Afterwards, Elena helps Percy get cleaned up and is horrified by his scars that haven't even had enough time to heal yet. She explains that holy knights have magical powers that they use to protect the kingdom and its people, and she thinks Percy might have what it takes to become one of them after seeing how he rushed in to save the village. Everyone celebrates their savior at a little party, but none of them have even heard of Ironside. Percy gets frustrated but is stunned when a floating man reveals that he knows the name. This night came after the elimination of his wolf familiar, and after hearing reports that Vargas and his grandson were defeated. This knight is surprised to see that Percy is still alive and determines that his father really did care about him after all. The knight rudely asks about his grandfather, so Katz demands that he apologize. This guy is a holy knight, so he easily knocks Katz away. He is the black knight called Peligard, and he is a comrade of Ironside and Vargas. Peligard admires how Percy doesn't fear him, but Percy has no interest in chit-chatting and gives the guy 5 seconds to tell him where Ironside is. The 5 seconds seconds go by with no resolution, so Percy charges at him. Pelagard is stunned to see that Percy is challenging him barehanded and amazed when he manages to push him back in all his heavy armor. The guy agrees to tell Percy whatever he wants if he wins, but if he loses, then he will take Percy away. He can see Percy's potential, so he would like to train him himself. Percy is more defiant than ever as he has no plans of going with him and vows to win the fight. Unfortunately, this guy is way stronger than Percy and easily stops him. Pelagard tells Percy that if he isn't going to fight with a weapon, then he better start using his magic, but Percy reveals that he doesn't have any magic. Pelagard wonders if he overestimated the boy and decides to end the fight quickly by punching him in the gut. The beating is relentless as Percy refuses to give up. Donnie tries to jump in to help his new friend, but Alina stops him since it will only make things worse. Some young kid in the crowd idolizes the savior of their town and is certain that his new hero won't lose. Percy is inspired by the boy and somehow manages to push the knight back. Percy doesn't even understand how he did it, and everyone is shocked when magic begins flowing from his hands. Percy has no clue what is going on and even begins to freak out because it feels so weird. He desperately tries to get it off and accidentally sends the knight flying back. Donnie explains that it must be Percy's magic and urges him to use it to beat Pelagard. Percy is an honest kid though, so he asks for permission to use his magic in the fight since he told Pelagard that he didn't have any magic earlier. He allows it, so they both decide to not hold back. Percy must quickly dodge Pelagard's fireball, and Donnie is shocked as his magic is far greater than even their leaders. Percy won't survive if it hits him, so he desperately dodges. Pelagard urges him to start attacking, so Percy starts by knocking the fireball away. Unfortunately, it still hits him, and Pelagard explains that his flames burn its target to nothing. Unless he cancels the spell, they will never go out. He demands that Percy surrender, but Percy can't stand losing. Pelagard is stunned when Percy uses his magic to protect his body, but tells him that it's too late since he has taken too much damage. Just then, little minions start appearing everywhere, and Pelagard wonders if Percy is creating them unconsciously. The little guys manage to interrupt Pelagard's spell, and Percy shockingly begins healing. Pelagard realizes that Percy is using the rarest type of magic that doesn't fit in any category. It's not destruction type, incantation type, degeneration type, or even healing type. He isn't sure, but he thinks it might be the one that is said to belong to one of 10,000 people. It's called the hero type magic. Pelagard fears that the others will come after Percy if they find out, so he can't allow it. Percy wants to continue the fight as everyone begins to believe that he can win, and Pelagard explains that he wants to train him more than ever. Pelagard flatters Percy by showering him with praise, but explains that Percy really doesn't have a chance of winning. Donnie realizes this as well, so he levitates Pelagard so Percy can get away. Pelagard has had enough of the games though, and blows up the entire area. He prepares to finish Percy off, but the little red fox from earlier steps between them. Pelagard tries to shoo it away, but is stunned when it teleports his prey to safety. Donnie points out that they have been teleported to the top of an insanely large dragon spine 30 miles away from their village, so Percy wants to rush back. The fox shockingly speaks and tells them that the village will be safe, since the knight just wanted them. He explains that Pelagard serves an evil king and is part of the group who targets the 4 knights of the apocalypse. The 4 knights don't actually exist yet, but they will appear in the not-so-distant future. The fox has orders from a group that opposes them and explains that he actually just found one of the 4 knights. The 4 knights are famine, pestilence, war, and death. The 4 holy knights who will destroy the world with 4 calamities. The fox then stuns both of them when he reveals that Percy is one of these 4 knights of the apocalypse. Elsewhere, Pelagard joins a meeting of holy knights, where they are told that they have identified the 4 knights of the apocalypse as young boys. One is a boy with golden magical power. One is a boy with holiness and evil in his eyes. One is a big, mysterious boy with no fixed appearance. And the other one is a boy with green feather-like hair. Ironsight is in disbelief when he hears this, and their leader explains that they have to find the 4 knights for their king. No matter what, they need to get to them first and dispose of them quickly. Pelagard reveals to Ironside that Percy is still alive, so Ironside questions if he ended his life. Pelagard thinks that would be a waste and would rather make Percy their ally and train him well. Ironside attacks him, but Pelagard refuses to fight. Ironside points out that Pelagard doesn't understand what is happening. Percy is not just a threat to their king, he is going to end up destroying the entire world. The pink fox tells Percy the exact same thing, but Percy simply says he just won't destroy the world. He explains that after he beats up his father, he will just go on an adventure father to explore the mysterious place that his grandfather told him about. He won't become a holy knight, and he won't destroy the world. The fox reveals that Percy's father and his comrades are all in a place called Camelot. It's a kingdom that got destroyed in the Holy War against the demon clans 16 years ago. All it took was one hit from the Demon King, and everything was destroyed without a trace. So Percy tells the little fox to beat it since he won't be going with him. The fox assures him that it really does exist, but explains that the journey there is very difficult. Percy instantly changes his mind because it sounds like an adventure, and the fox introduces himself as Sin. The three of them begin the journey, but they soon get hungry, so Percy decides that they should have a contest to see who can find the best prey. Donnie takes Percy's bow and arrow, but that's okay because Percy finds an interesting place for himself to hunt and finds that he struck a giant nun with the arrow. Donnie apologizes, but the nun says it's okay since she only screamed because she was startled. Just then, some fairy-looking guys urgently tell the giant that a human with a strange helmet entered the Echo Gorge. Donnie realizes that they are talking about Percy, and the fairies explain that the gorge was once a beautiful place. However, it is now a living nightmare. We then see exactly what they were talking about, as Percy is faced with several monsters, but he makes quick work of them. He is actually really happy since all the prey are just coming to him, so he is sure to win the competition. Just then, he hears something calling for help. In a nearby house, we see that some little clown monster is tied up and being interrogated. Some kid decides that the little creature will be his guinea pig for some experiments, and the little guy cries for help. Percy comes to the rescue, but just ends up getting a face full of wood. The little monster impatiently tells Percy to free him, and it instantly flies away. Percy is amazed by the fairy-like monster that he has never seen before, but he loses consciousness. Donnie and his new friends are on their way to find Percy, and the giant explains that some guy used a weird medicine to make all the living creatures in the gorge violent. This guy is really upset with Percy and plans to have him take the monster's place as his guinea pig. This kid is known as the mad herbalist named Nasons. Percy's friends reach the entrance to the gorge, but the fairies fear that they may be too late. They once witnessed the evil herbalist in action, so Donnie says they need to hurry. Percy wakes up, which is very odd to Nasons since he should have been out cold for at least 10 hours. Percy demands that he get his clothes back since his father gave them to him, so the boy shows him where they are. Everything but his helmet and cloak are practically destroyed already. However, the helmet and cloak are magic items with strong magical powers. Nasons wastes no time and injects Percy with his mixture. It should take an hour to start working, but Nasons is fascinated when it works instantly. Percy is sure that this guy is evil as he was going to hurt that fairy, but Nasons explains that that fairy broke into his house and attacked him first. Percy is convinced that Nasons had blood coming out of his mouth because he bit the fairy, but that isn't the case. Nasons gets excited because Percy is the perfect guinea pig, so Nasons starts bleeding from the mouth again. Biting his lip when he gets excited is just something Nasons has done since childhood. Percy thinks that he should kick the habit, and Nasons says that his sister says the exact same thing. Back with Donnie's group, they are being chased by violent monsters. Donnie calls Nasons evil for causing this issue, but the giant gets upset and says that Nasons isn't like that. Nasons plans to let Percy go after he tries one last medicine, but if he makes the wrong mixture, then Percy will lose his life. Nasons is shaking and explains that he has a mission he needs to fulfill. Percy has a mission as well, so he breaks free, but Nasons isn't prepared to let him go. Nasons promises not to take his life, but the two begin fighting. Percy offers to help him if he needs it, but Nason just wants test subjects for his medicine. The only reason he doesn't test on himself is because if he ends himself, then he won't be able to save the gorge. Percy's helmet flies off when his hair expands, which allows him to get the medicine, and he refuses to give it back. He then shocks the evil scientist when he chugs it on his own. Percy writhes in pain, so Nason tries to get him to spit it back up. Percy always keeps us guessing though, as he says that he can feel the power surging through his body, and he now has endless amounts of energy. He rushes outside to say something silly, and his friends determine that he must be okay. Nasons can't believe what he just did, and Percy says that it was an easy decision to drink the medicine since Nason was just trying to save the gorge. It's clear that the medicine works, so Nason shockingly chugs it down next. Donnie arrives just then and wonders what Percy did to the kid. The fairies don't believe that Nasons is trying to save the gorge, but he whispers the name Ordo. Ordo is an old apothecary that once lived there. He was kind to everyone in the gorge and took care of them when they got injured. They found a young giant whose name is Dolores and the young human Nasons. Ordo taught Nasons everything he knows, but one day he just went missing. Since that day, Nasons started doing weird experiments. Nearby, the little orange monster plans to destroy the entire forest, and he shockingly asks Ordo if he Percy agrees. Nasons wakes up and urgently wants to go spread his medicine throughout the gorge. Some fairies appear to attack him, and they blame Nasons for Ordo leaving. They accuse him of trying to destroy the gorge and tell him to leave. Percy stands up for him and tells the little jerks that Nasons is actually trying to save the gorge. Just then, the forest begins to decay and the animals begin to pass away. Nasons realizes that he is out of time, so he must use the medicine. Percy points out that there is none left, but Nasons shockingly creates some from his body. Nason reveals that after he ingests a poison, he teaches it to his body, and then he can freely create and mix his own. His magic is called mixed venom, and he tells everyone to cover their mouths. Nasons creates a mist from his medicine that gets carried by the wind, and the gorge amazingly begins to revive. Nasons refers to Ordo as his grandfather and recalls the lessons he was taught. Afterwards, Percy gets a fresh cut and Dolores makes him some clothes. The fairies apologize to Nasons, but he completely understands since the monsters going crazy was a side effect of his medicine. No one knows why the gorge was decaying in the first place, but once Ordo disappeared, something started eating into the life force of everything. Nasons tells the fairies that Percy is the one that should be thanked, so they praise him, and the kid soaks it all in. Just then, a hideous monster appears, and Nasons can tell that it's Ordo. It's clearly a hideous creature, but Percy is just jealous that Nasons' grandpa is 3 times bigger than his was. Nasons wants to know what happened, but Dolores stops him from getting too close. Ordo releases a fog that causes the forest to begin rotting, so Nasons begs him to stop. Nasons tries to remind Ordo that he loved the gorge, but he's a monster now. He wants to destroy it. Ordo plans to crush Nasons, and Percy can't stop it, but Dolores arrives just in time. She tries to remind Ordo that they are family, but the monster hits her with its poison, causing major damage. Just then, the fairy from earlier arrives, and they all realize that it was the one that transformed Ordo. It did it because he says Ordo is a sinner, and he must atone for his sins by destroying the gorge. Ordo prepares to consume Nasons, but Percy manages to stop it. But Percy grabs a hold of him and tells him that they will get his grandpa back together. The evil fairy commands Ordo to run wild, but instantly gets an arrow through its head, and it melts away. No one knows where the arrow came from, but Ordo collapses, and a holy knight appears before them. It is the Amber Knight, and his name is Talisker. Talisker tells them that if they can land a single blow on him, then he will tell them the sin that Ordo committed. If they somehow manage to beat him, though, then he will turn Ordo back. Sin warns Nason not to fall for Talisker's taunting, but it's too late. Nason uses his ability to apply poison to his daggers, and Percy decides to fight too. Percy confidently tries to activate his magic, but only manages to let out a little bit of gas instead. Nason tries to attack on his own, but their opponent is a holy knight and uses an insane attack that creates a hailstorm. Percy manages to rescue him, but Talisker has Ordo join the fight. He tries to have Ordo finish Nasons off. Percy once again intervenes. Percy urges Ordo to remember his family and explains that Nasons worked so hard to protect the gorge for him. Talisker commands Ordo to end their lives, but Ordo has stopped listening as he seems to be coming back to his senses. Talisker decides to just send them all to the afterlife with his next attack. Sin is strangely okay with things ending this way, but Percy is a hero. He takes to the sky and sacrifices his body to destroy all the hail. Percy is severely injured. Talisker wonders if the kid lost his mind. Percy tells Nasons that they will get his grandpa back no matter what, so Nason's hope is restored. Talisker has had enough of the games. He prepares his next attack, but stops when an immense power surges from Percy's body. Talisker has never seen such unstructured magic, and Percy is shockingly healed from all the damage. Donnie realizes that it's much more magic than last time, and no one can understand what is happening. Talisker uses another powerful attack, but Percy's magic just consumes it and splits it back at Talisker. Talisker is becoming really annoyed, but Percy tells him that he's going to defeat him, so Ordo can go back to normal. Talisker attacks with his weapon, but it's no use, and now it's Percy's turn. Talisker isn't afraid, since Percy is unarmed, but Percy forms a hand with his magic and gives Talisker a good smack. Landing a hit means Talisker must explain why he transformed Ordo. Ordo is helping everyone in the forest, but Talisker explains that rescuing races that aren't human is a sin. Talisker's lord, Arthur, wants humanity to live in peace with no other race to threaten it. Talisker warned Ordo to stop, but he didn't, so Talisker punished him. He turned him into a monster driven by an impulse to destroy and a duty to menace the world. Talisker wanted him to destroy the gorge, so Ordo used his poison to drive all the animals out. That's enough explaining for Talisker, so he uses his magic that controls the weather. His lightning strike hits Percy, but this just gets him mad. Percy charges at him with his now lightning-charged magic and points out that he lost his own grandfather without any reason as well. Talisker is shocked that Percy took his lightning magic and just now realizes that this kid is the green-haired knight of the apocalypse. Talisker dodges the attack and realizes his good fortune. If he can eliminate Percy, then the doomsday prophecy for King Arthur will be gone for good. So he should picture a weapon that will knock out Talisker in one shot. Talisker uses his most powerful attack, but it resembles a bird that Percy is very familiar with. Percy forms a knife like the one he used to cut up the bird, and he uses it to cut up the attack. Talisker is absolutely stunned and can't believe how powerful one of the 4 knights of the apocalypse is. Percy turns his magic into a projectile, and the fight is finally over. No one can believe what they just saw, and they realize that Percy blew away the Holy Knight along with the mountain. The fight is over, but Percy doesn't even know how to put his magic away. Donnie thinks that they are being attacked by a giant zombie, but it's just Dolores. They can't understand how she is still alive, but Sin explains that giants have an ability that turns their bodies into metal for self-defense. She must have used it right before being attacked with a reaction time that makes it clear that she has extensive battle training. Things aren't great though, as Nasons has a memory of when Ordo promised to save every race. Nasons breaks down as he points out that he tried so hard to protect the gorge because Orto loved it so much. Percy apologizes because he couldn't keep his promise to transform Orto back to normal, but Sin finds something that Talisker dropped. Sin destroys it, and Ordo magically turns back to normal. Nasons sobs uncontrollably, and the two are finally reunited. Afterwards, Donnie makes fun of Nasons for crying like a little girl. He quickly realizes that he is being rude, though when Percy says that it's a natural reaction. Since Nasons got to see his grandpa again, Sin explains that the thing he broke was a chaos staff. These staffs are infused with chaotic force, and the King of Camelot hands them out to his knights. Just then, Percy proclaims that he has made a decision. He initially thought that all he wanted was to beat up his father, but everything just changed. Percy now wants to defeat the King of Camelot too. He never wants anyone to go through what he went through, and Sin likes to see this resolve. Percy remembers that they were having a competition, but neither of them have brought their prey. The little fox reveals that he managed to capture some evil-looking rabbit and reminds the both of them that the winner gets to give one order to the losers. Sin seems to have bad intentions, but Percy assumes he wants them to pick fleas off of him. Just then, Nason appears, and Shockling would like to go with them. Nasons owes Percy for saving them in order to tell Nasons to go out and learn the world. Sin thinks that his magic and knowledge of poisons could be useful to them. Butson reminds him that he must obey his one order. Dolores is pretty sad that Nasons is leaving, but Wordle points out that Nasons finally has a person he can call a friend. Our group begins their journey and starts by heading to a town called Sistana to find transportation. Ahead of them in Sistana, we see that a party is taking place and Ironside is there. He is searching for something in the city, but Duke Calden tells him that nothing has come up. His daughter has some kind of ability that lets her know that her father is lying. She is more concerned with Ironside. Ironside says that he wants to save the town, but the girl can tell that he does not even breathe a single word of truth. Her name is Anne, and Ironside would like her to meet his son. She was spaced out, so Ironside just says to continue looking for the piece of the coffin of eternal darkness. Elsewhere, Percy tries to command his little minions, but they don't listen. Nasons, however, discovers that if he poisons one of the mini Percys, it changes color. Percy then shows them Ouroboros, the carving knife his grandpa gave him. Seeing as how it can grow, it's clearly a magic sword, but Percy still thinks it's a knife. Percy explains that he doesn't know anything about his grandpa's life as a holy knight, which is just more of a reason to find Ironside in Camelot. Nasons has his doubts about the existence of Camelot, but Percy says that he trusts Sin, and he wouldn't lie. The guys want Sin to use the teleporting orb to take them to the kingdom of Lioness, so they don't have to walk, but that was his last one, and explains that one of the legendary knights of the 7 deadly sins named Merlin created them. They are orbs with different magic effects. Nason's mouth gushes with blood as he gets excited while explaining that Merlin wrote a book about poisons. They eventually reach Sistana, and Percy's little minions strangely rush off. They get Percy to dig something up, and Sin is shocked when he realizes what it is before he can say anything and tells them to put it back in the ground. However, if they plan to give it to a certain knight, then she will have to eliminate them instead. Donnie tries to explain that it was discovered by accident, but she doesn't believe them. Anne attacks them and doesn't listen to a single word they say. She plans to take the item back by force, but Percy just hands it to her. Percy says that it really was an accident, and the girl uses her ability on them. She can see that they are all hiding something, but she is shocked when she sees that there is nothing false or hidden about Percy. Sin wants to know more about the knight she mentioned, but a maid comes to get her. Anne panics and hides the item inside Percy's cloak. She tells him not to show anyone, but shocks everyone when she tells him to make sure to never let a knight named Ironside see it. Afterwards, Sign explains that the thing is a magic item of legend that was crafted by a giant. It's his first time seeing one, and it's a piece of the coffin of eternal darkness. Percy hasn't listened to a single word and just wants to go find Ironside since the girl mentioned him being there. Sin calms him down though by pointing out that a fight there could harm villagers. There are still a lot of questions that need to be answered, and they need to make sure that the magic item is even real. Elsewhere, Anne tries to explain to her father that Ironside cannot be trusted. Her father knows about her ability, but he doesn't like her using it because it's dangerous. Calden explains that Ironside fought alongside her mother to protect people, so they should just trust and obey him. He also fears what Ironside would do if they disobeyed him, so his decision is to avoid putting the townspeople in danger. Anne proclaims that she will become a holy knight and protect the people herself. She tells her father to stop being Ironside's lapdog, but he just slaps her. Calden goes to meet with Ironside, and we see that our heroes are watching them. Percy can't contain his anger and must be held back from attacking. Ironside addresses the crowd and gets them all terrified by saying that something is threatening their town. He reveals an artifact, and our boys can tell that it's only missing their piece. Sin explains that if he completes the artifact, it will be over for them all. The item was created to steal away the demon clan, and the goddess clan sacrificed themselves to trigger it. There are no goddesses around now, so Ironside must be planning to sacrifice the townspeople to activate it. Percy is ready to beat him up now, but Sin calms him down again. They have the missing piece of artifact, so they need to leave the town with the fragment. Percy doesn't want to leave when he has worked so hard to find Ironside, but Sim points out that he is no match for him right now. Ironside tells the crowd that if he can complete the artifact, then he will hold a ritual that will protect Sistina from disaster. He says that the Kingdom of Lioness is gathering dreadful demons to wipe Britannia off the map, so everyone gets really mad at the kingdom. However, Anne arrives and shocks everyone when she accuses Ironside of lying. Ironside says that she is just young and speaking nonsense, but Anne reveals her ability to everyone. Ironside plans to discipline her for lying, and Sin wants to get away while they are arguing. The others agree, but are stunned when Percy jumps in to tell Ironside to stop. Ironside can tell that Percy wants to avenge Varghese, but then wonders if the boy might be trying to take the coffin. Percy uses his minions to distract Ironside and runs off with Anne. Ironside does major damage while trying to stop them and explains that he doesn't care if he would hurt Anne since he would just consider her a worthy sacrifice. Donnie wonders if they should go back to help Percy, but Anne explains that they need to secure the magic item first. Unfortunately, they find that Anne's maid has the item. She is actually Ironside's familiar and flies away. Percy arrives and it becomes clear that Ironside must have been watching Anne all along. Ironside no longer needs Calden as he completes the artifact. Calden explains that the artifact needs a blood sacrifice. They have to destroy the coffin or take one of the pieces to stop it. Ironside is preparing to do the ritual right now, so they all decide to work together to stop him. Sin says that he will go prepare for anything that might happen, but Anne can sense that he is hiding something. Sin tells Percy to not even dare to try seriously fighting Ironside. No matter how strong Percy thinks he is, Ironside is 10 times stronger than that. Their mission starts, and Anne thanks Percy for helping her earlier. Percy explains that Ironside ended his grandfather's life, and Anne says that Ironside wanted to marry her off to his son. Anne assumes that his son is just as bad as he is, and the guys laugh knowing that Percy is his son. Back at the house, Ironside begins chanting, and the coffin begins to glow. The ritual begins to intensify, and a black substance erupts from the ground. And that where his video ends. Thanks for watching my recap. Subscribe and ring the notification bell for future episodes.